everybody. Richie here from Reckless Pixel, and I'm excited today to talk about somebody else's photography project. An old school photographer friend of mine, Harvey Davidowitz, had called upon me back in February of 2014 to help him with a photo book project that he was putting together of some old black and white images. And I say old, they were from like 1973 to 1974. So first, let me say, I put all my photographer friends, and I have many, into two different categories. You know, either you're old school, you came up through the ranks of shooting on film, or you're current day, and we shoot digital. Of course, everybody shoots digital now for the most part. Now, I have shot on film, and I didn't have a passion for photography back in the day of film. My passion started more in the digital era, but I still have 5 film bodies that I pull out, and I will shoot film, and I know how to process film. I don't know how to print film, but so I know about film, and I know about the hardships of it. And these old school photographers, you know, they have these stories to tell that at the time they didn't realize were hardships. You got to remember, before the car was invented, nobody had the hardship of knowing what a car was and not being able to have it. So with film, we didn't know what digital was. We didn't know the act of snapping the shutter, looking at the back of the camera, and deciding, is it good or bad? If it's bad, delete it, and we just do it again. We didn't know that. They didn't know that. So Harvey is one of those guys that came up through that era. Now, with that said, he had called upon me and he told me he took these 2 trips back in 73 and 74. He had some photos and he just wanted to kind of put them together in a book. Well, it turned out the photos were printed on paper back in 73 and 74, and they had scratches, lines, scaling, discoloration, chipping, just the stuff that happens to old photos from printed on paper. Now, he had scanned them, and I received them as digital files, and it turned out to be more of a restoration project. And in the end, I started in February of 2014, as I said, and in August of 2015, I received this book, and this was the end result of that project. And when I received this book, I already knew the story about the images, but seeing it in a book and seeing it in Harvey's writing, it was amazing. It was amazing. So without further ado, I'm just going to read you the very first page, and it's not very long. It's not a long passage at all. This is mostly a photo book, but I just want to read you the very first page of this book because it speaks volumes about a different time in the world that we live in. And just let me get to it and I'll read it. So, I just want to, I got this microphone here, but it's in my way, but I just want to show you, the book opens, there's a private message up here that Harvey wrote to me. And then there's an onion skin page. And then we come to this page here. And I just want to show it briefly on camera. I'll put a picture up, but I just want to read this passage to you because I found this to be amazing. In 1973 and 74, Judy Sullivan and I took 2 major overseas trips. We were young, adventurous, and loved to travel. The first trip was to Amsterdam, Istanbul, and Iran. We had friends in the U.S. Air Force who were stationed in Tehran. Not long after we returned to New York in the beginning of 1974, Judy received an offer to work for the assistant dean for Chapman University's World Campus Afloat. It was an around-the-world educational cruise where students did a semester at sea on board a ship. Initially, I was going to stay home in Brooklyn. I was working as a pharmacist at Bellevue Hospital at the time. Realizing that it was a chance of a lifetime, I asked my boss for a leave of absence. He thought about it for about 30 seconds and said no. I quit and then became a passenger aboard the SS Universe campus. So many things in just that passage right there. The very first is Air Force stationed in Tehran. Um, kind of unfathomable today. Who knows? Maybe in the future it could change. Look at what it once was, but look at where we're at today in that region of the world. Even Americans are not welcome in Tehran, or at least not safe in Tehran, put it that way. So, Harvey obviously had a passion. He wanted to travel with this female companion who later became his wife, and she has now passed on years ago. And, he was working. He had a good job, obviously a pharmacist at Bellevue Hospital, and his boss said no, and he had a passion for adventure. He had a passion for photography. He doesn't say it in the passage, but obviously this is a photography book. And the passion for the photography, I remember when he was telling me the story, and he tells it in here. When he told me this story in person, it was just an amazing story. I was riveted. And he tells how he took a darkroom essentially with him on the ship, and he would shoot by day and process at night. But I'm not going to go through all the photos, and I'll put some up, and I will put a link to the blog post that I did back in 2015 when I received this book. I'll put a link to that down in the show notes or in the video notes here. You can click on that if you want to go and check that out. But this one image right here of the Orient Express, we traveled on the Orient Express from Istanbul to Tehran, about 1,500 miles. And he just shows this, I'm just going to show you a glimpse of it if I can without putting a glare, but he just shows this image of the Orient Express. And I mean, this whole book is just little slices of his life and life around the world at that time. And it's kind of an amazing photo book. So I was very happy to work on this project and happy to restore the photos for Harvey, and just an amazing thing. And I just wanted to share that with you. I talk all the time about my own photography projects and tooting my own horn and everything like that. But sometimes I like to talk about other projects, usually something that I've somehow connected with and worked on or something like that. But old school photographer friends, you guys are the bomb, man. Talking and hearing it's not so much the tale of the camera and that kind of stuff. It's the tale of where he went and where the camera went. The settings, that kind of stuff doesn't matter. Everybody wants to know camera settings. What were the settings? What were the settings? Back in the film day, you couldn't look at the back of the camera after you shot the photo and know what it was. You like now you can shoot an image and you can come back, and in Lightroom you can see what the aperture, what the shutter. You couldn't do any of that with the film. You had to keep a little notebook, and it was a hardship. Okay, everybody, until next time, click like on this video if you liked it, click subscribe, and check me out on social media, Lens Wizard on Instagram, Reckless Pixel on Facebook, Richard Smith Jr. on Twitter, and, connect with me wherever you can. And if you got photography stories, old or new, I'm always glad to hear about them. Okay, everybody, until next time, peace.